Uncle Trev and the Dirty Dishes by Jack Lasenby. Now you're getting on your feet again, Mum said one day. It's time you started giving me a hand about the place. You can make a start by drying those dishes. Oh, do I have to? I said. Mum threw me the tea towel. Here, was all she said. Oh, Mum, but I'm tired. You get yourself over here at once and start drying these dishes. I'm not going to ask you a second time. Oh, I said, but began drying a cup. After a while, Mum said, You wear out the pattern if you keep rubbing it, not to speak of wearing a hole in the tea towel. I looked at all the dishes waiting to be dried and felt weak. I think I better lie down, I said. I feel sort of funny. Get on with it. I put away the cup, took up a fork. Uncle Trev doesn't do his dishes all the time, I said. What your uncle does or doesn't do has nothing to do with the way things are done in this house, said my mother. He saves them till they're all dirty, then he does them all in one go, and starts again, I said. I wish we did things like Uncle Trev. What's that? Said my mother, and I knew I'd gone too far. What did I hear you say? Oh, I was just joking, I said. I was making it up. We'll see about that, said Mum. Just wait till the next time I see your uncle. She was silent. I didn't dare say any more. Poor Uncle Trev. He'd get it in the neck next time he came in, and it wasn't even his fault. Finished drying the dishes quickly. The rest of that morning I tried to keep out of Mum's way, but whatever I did, she was there, moving on till I felt like a piece of furniture that shifted every few minutes. Don't go getting yourself too comfortable, she'd say. I'll be wanting to get into that cupboard before too long. Take those books off the table. I'll be needing it for the ironing soon. Come out of there, and don't you dare go making a mess of that room when I've just tidied it. Oh, won't I be pleased though when you're back at school and out from under my feet. Wherever I went, I seemed to be in Mum's way. Even sitting on my bed. I wasn't safe from her. In the end, I went and sat outside. There was a small seed box by the back door with some lettuce plants in it. They looked a bit pale, as if they'd been growing inside. One was so weak it hung over the side. All the others leaned one way, growing towards the light, I suppose. I looked closer and tried separating the plants with a stick. I could see their first leaves, a pair of small rounded ones, then a longer pair of leaves, one much longer than the other, and a tiny leaf just coming out between them. One or two plants had 6 leaves, most just had 5. The biggest leaf on each plant had sharp points around its edge, so it looked a bit jagged. I thought that's what the big leaves would be like when they're fully grown. I looked up. Uncle Trev stood at the corner of the tank stand, looking back at me. Well, you must be feeling a lot better, sitting out in the sun. Shh, I whispered. Mum's after you. But he'd dived round the corner and reappeared dragging a heavy sack. I've just thrown everything together in here, he said, over his shoulder in a cheerful, loud voice, as if I was down the other end of the section. Your mother can sort them when she gets a moment. He was dragging the sack with his back to me, so he couldn't see me trying to warn him. He didn't see Mum step out the back door, folded her arms. I carried it in the gate, he went on in that cheerful, loud voice, but put it down around the corner for a blow. Now I'm not going to be bothered heaving it up on my shoulder this close. He was going backwards, straight for Mum, and there was nothing I could do about it. I'll just drag it to here and leave it. He'd backed right into Mum. Trevor Millen, she said in her big voice. What's this I've been hearing about your dirty dishes? Uncle Trev must have got a terrible fright. I heard him gasp. He spun around. I knew I shouldn't have told Mum that his dirty dishes, and knew she'd catch him sooner or later. I hadn't expected him to turn up so soon, though. I thought all of this as Uncle Trev leapt away from Mum with a sort of yelp. What dishes? He said, trying to save himself a bit of time. Mum unfolded her arms and took a step towards him. You know what dishes I mean, she said. Your dirty dishes. Uncle Trev backed towards the corner of the house. Oh, there's a few spuds and carrots in there, he waved at the sack. There's a couple of pumpkins and cabbages, and a few other bits and pieces. I've been clearing out the garden, so I can turn it over and get it ready for putting in some new stuff. His voice trailed away, a bit weak. He looked at me, but I looked down at the lettuce plants. Next time you come in here, my mother said, I want to know your dishes are done, every last one of them. Uncle Trev couldn't escape her. If he had turned and ran, she'd catch him before he got to his truck. Even if he got there first, he still had to crank it to get it going. Mum would catch him easy. I couldn't help him either, sitting where I was on a box against the wall. Then Mum had gone, disappearing in the back door, only her words floating back. I suppose you're expecting a cup of tea, she said. I'll put on the kettle. You can put the veggies in the shed. I'll deal with them later. Make sure you leave off those clod-hopping boots. Leave them at the back door. I've just finished the polishing. What's all this about? Uncle Trev asked me. What have you been telling her? I told her you only do your dishes once every week or so, I said. I told her you saved them up till they were all dirty, then did them in one go. What did you tell her that for? He whispered. I read it somewhere. I was going to tell her that you put them in a barrel and filled them when it rained, so you didn't have to wash them all, but she didn't let me finish. Uncle Trev grinned. That's in one of my old books I gave you. Tom Sawyer, I think it is. Been meaning to try it ever since I read it, he said. Wonder if it would work. All I'd need would be a barrel and a length of downpiping to carry the rain off the roof. He kicked off his boots and went inside. Mum scrutinised us both from head to toe. I had to wash my hands before I could even have a scone, and Uncle Trev was told to sit down. I've never heard the like of it, Mum told him, banging his cup of tea down in front of him. Doing your dishes once a week, indeed. Uncle Trev gave me a mournful look, blew on his tea, and drank it. Glad to see you up and about, he said to me. You're looking much better. Surprised to see you outside, though. Under my feet all morning, said Mum. It's time we were back at school. Everywhere I turn there's a book or some toy left lying around for me to trip over. I would be grateful to have the house to myself for a change. Uncle Trev finished his tea and scones and fled. I wanted to go out to the gate with him and tell him I was sorry for getting him into trouble, but Mum wouldn't let me go, not even to say hello to old Tip. You go and tidy up your room, she said. I was standing looking at my things when Uncle Trev looked in the window. He tapped his nose with one finger and nodded at me, and I nodded and tapped my nose back. It was our secret signal. What are you doing standing there and shaking your head like a great noddy? Came Mum's voice from the kitchen, but by the time she got into my room, Uncle Trev had disappeared down the side of the house. Uncle Trev didn't really save up all his dirty dishes, I told her. I just read that in a book. My mother sniffed. That's what comes from always having your nose in a book. She sniffed again. Well, if he didn't save up all his dirty dishes before, you'll be sure he's going straight home to try it now. You're as bad as him, putting ideas like that into his head. I don't know where you get such ideas from. Certainly not from my side of the family. The sooner you're back at school and out of my way, the better. I'll be pleased. I thought it was time I was back at school too. And in a couple of days, I was.